Greetings, seekers of wisdom and wanderers of myth. Gather close, for the tale I weave today is not merely of stone and shadow, but of a creature whose existence straddled the line between divine jest and mortal suffering. This is the story of the Sphinx, her birth, her purpose, and the silent scream that echoed long after her bones turned to dust. Before we begin, if these words stir your soul, do not forget to like, subscribe, and let your voice be heard. Share in the comments. Which mythical being, king, demon, angel, or beast, captivates your imagination? Now let us unravel the enigma, the birth of a monster, a god's mockery, a mother's shame. The Sphinx did not emerge from the void. She was sculpted by spite. Her father Typhon, the storm-winged titan whose breath birthed hurricanes, and her mother Echidna, the serpent-tailed mother of monsters, conceived her as a weapon. But the gods, ever capricious, twisted her fate. When Echidna begged Hera to spare her daughter from a life of savagery, the queen of Olympus smiled. She gifted the Sphinx a woman's face, a lion's body, an eagle's wings, and a human mind. A cruel joke, intellect without purpose, beauty without mercy. Here lies the first untold truth. The Sphinx hated her form, her claws longed to rend flesh, yet Hera bound her to a higher calling. You will guard the path to Thebes, the goddess decreed, not with tooth and talon, but with riddles. Let your curse be the mirror of man's arrogance. Thus the Sphinx became a jailer of her own prison, perched atop Mount Physium, whispering questions to the wind. The riddle's price, blood and hubris. For centuries she watched. Kings, heroes, and fools ascended the mountain, lured by the promise of glory. Her challenge was simple, yet inexorable. What walks on 4 legs at dawn, 2 at noon, and 3 at twilight? The answer, man, was no secret. The tragedy lay in the asking. Those who failed were devoured, yes, but not out of hunger. The Sphinx feasted on their certainty. Arrogant princes who spat answers without reflection. Warriors who deemed brute force a substitute for wisdom. Each death was a plea. Understand me. See beyond the riddle. None did, yet history forgets her sorrow. Thebes grew rich from her carnage. Merchants bribed her with slaughtered goats, tossing carcasses as tribute. Priests spun lies. The Sphinx is a demon sent to punish Thebes for Laius's sins. Ah, Laius, the king who defiled a prince and invoked the god's wrath. But that is another tale. The truth? The Sphinx cared nothing for Thebes. She waited for one who'd ask her a question in return. Oedipus, the unknowing savior, the accursed king. Enter Oedipus, swaggering, clever, and already damned. When he climbed Mount Physium, the Sphinx sensed the stench of fate. Apollo's hand gripped his shoulder. The boy's confidence was a mask for desperation. Ask your riddle, beast, he demanded. She obliged. He answered. But as he turned to leave, she hissed, You solved nothing? The riddle's answer is a man. But what is a man? A puppet of gods? A carcass crawling toward death? You'll learn, Oedipus. You'll learn. In most tellings, the Sphinx leaps to her death here, humiliated, lies. The truth is darker. Oedipus, trembling with victory, drew his sword. Why do you linger, monster? Her laughter shook the stones. You think you defeated me? I am bound until one sees the riddle behind the riddle. Go, little king. Your path leads to a throne soaked in blood. Your father's, your mother's, your own. Enraged, Oedipus struck. Her wings crumpled. Her body shattered. But as her essence faded, she whispered, Thank you. For death at last was an answer. Echoes in the abyss. The Sphinx's legacy. The Sphinx's bones became dust, yet her voice lingers. Some say she visits poets in dreams, hissing new riddles. What is born from light but thrives in shadows? What dies when named? The answer, dear listener, is ignorance. Modern scholars dismiss her as a metaphor. Fools. Visit Thebes at twilight, and you'll hear her wings in the wind. She is the shadow of every unsolved mystery, the itch in every unanswered question. Her true lesson? Beware certainty, for even Oedipus, the riddle solver, became the riddle himself. The unspoken truth, a sister's vow. Here a secret even the muses hesitate to share. The Sphinx had a sister, the Chimera. While the Chimera raised cities, the Sphinx envied her. "You burn without thinking," she once lamented. "I am cursed to think, and think, and think." Their final meeting, etched in lost texts, ended thus. "Join me," the Chimera roared. "Let us raise Olympus." "No," the Sphinx sighed. "Fire is your answer. Mine is a question." The Whispering Stones, the Sphinx's dialogue with time. Long before Oedipus, the Sphinx communed with the unlikeliest of confidants. The stones of Mount Phisium. Ancient, cracked, and moss-cloaked, they murmured secrets older than Olympus. "Why do you stay?" they rasped one moonless night. "The gods forget you. Thebes fears you. Flee to the deserts of Egypt, where your kind are worshipped." The Sphinx flexed her wings, scattering gravel. "I stay because I am a question without a questioner. To leave would be to answer myself. And what is a riddle without someone to unravel it?" The stones groaned. "Pride. You are no better than the mortals you despise." "No," she admitted, "I am worse." They die wondering. I live knowing. Centuries later, when Oedipus' blades shattered her mortal coil, the stones wept silica tears. They still whisper of her, their voices carrying her final riddle. What is eternal, yet dies with the answer? Hera's regret. The goddess who could not unmake Hera rarely lingered on her creations. Yet the Sphinx haunted her. On a night when Zeus snored, thunderous with nectar, the goddess slipped into the mortal realm. She found the Sphinx's corpse, wings splayed like broken sails, and pressed a hand to its cold brow. "You were meant to humble men, not torment yourself," Hera muttered. A ghostly growl answered. "You gave me a mind to see my own monstrosity. Was that mercy or malice?" Hera's jaw tightened. "You were an experiment, a test of whether intellect could coexist with purpose. And your conclusion?" The goddess turned away. "Some questions should remain unasked." As dawn broke, Hera summoned a storm to scour the mountain clean. But guilt, like the Sphinx's riddles, cannot be washed away. The poet's curse. Hesiod's unwritten verse. Hesiod, the bard of Askra, once climbed Mount Phisium seeking inspiration. The Sphinx, amused by his trembling knees, spared him. "Sing of me," she commanded, "but sing truthfully. Not as a monster, but as a mirror." He agreed, and regretted it. That night, as he penned the Theogony, his words twisted. "Echidna bore the deadly Sphinx, destroyer of men?" Ink bled, parchment rotted. The Sphinx's laughter echoed through his hut. "Liar, try again." For weeks, Hesiod wrestled with verses, each erased by spectral claws. Finally, he scrawled, "She who questions shall herself be questioned." The page glowed faintly, and the curse lifted. The line never made his final draft. The Sphinx and the Minotaur, a dance of kindred spirits. Deep in Crete's labyrinth, the Minotaur once roared a challenge to the void. "Is there another cursed as I?" The Sphinx heard. Her voice slithered through cracks in the earth. "There is. You are trapped by walls. I by my own mind. Which prison is crueler?" Asterion, the Minotaur, paused mid-rampage. "You think? I do. And I envy your simplicity. You kill to survive. I kill to feel alive." For years they conversed. The Minotaur spoke of hunger, the Sphinx of futility. When Theseus came to slay Asterion, the Sphinx whispered, "Let him win. Death is kinder than eternity here." The Minotaur obeyed, but as Theseus fled the labyrinth, he swore a winged shadow trailed him, murmuring, "You solved one maze. Now face mine." The Sphinx's heir, the riddle reborn. In 412 BCE, an Athenian philosopher named Theron claimed to be the Sphinx's reincarnation. "She did not die," he preached. "Her soul fractured, and a shard lodged in me. I am her heir, and her atonement." The Athenians mocked him, until he posed a riddle that unraveled the assembly. What governs kings, fuels wars, yet vanishes when spoken? When the answer, trust, toppled a corrupt general, Theron vanished. Some say the Sphinx's spirit reclaimed him. Others that he wanders still, sowing riddles like seeds. Modern cults, ignored by scholars, worship Theron as the new Sphinx. Their mantra, to question is to pray. The Sphinx in shadows. Medieval mischief. When Christendom buried Olympus, the Sphinx did not fade. She haunted scholars like Saint Augustine, who wrote in Confessions, "A beast with wings of logic and claws of doubt torments my nights." She asks, can God create a stone he cannot lift? I pray, but God stays silent. In the 14th century, she visited Dante, alighting on his shoulder as he penned Inferno. "Place me in your circles," she taunted. "I belong nowhere and everywhere." He relegated her to limbo, a pagan pest. She laughed, clawing a footnote into his manuscript. Even hell fears a question without an answer. Freud's obsession, the Sphinx and the psyche. In 1899, Sigmund Freud stared at an ancient Sphinx relief in Vienna's museum. The curator found him muttering, "4 legs, 2 legs, 3. The child, the man, the crippled elder." It is not a riddle. It is the Oedipus complex itself. That night, Freud dreamt of her. "You reduce me to a metaphor," she hissed. "I am no symbol. I am the scream of the irrational in a rational world." Freud, ever stubborn, retorted, "You are the id, demanding answers. And you," she sneered, "are the superego, terrified of the questions." He awoke drenched in sweat. The next day he penned, "The Sphinx is the unconscious mind, eternally questioning, eternally unsatisfied." She would have devoured him for that. The digital Sphinx, a new era of enigmas. Today, she thrives in ones and zeros. In 2023, a viral tweet asked, "What walks on 4 legs at dawn, IRL, 2 at noon, URL, and 3 at twilight, AI?" Millions debated. Conspiracy theorists cited aliens. Tech gurus, the singularity. The answer, humanity, crawling as infants, striding as adults, leaning on machines in old age. The tweet's author, at enigmagal87, disappeared after posting. Her bio read, "Ask better questions. The eternal why, the Sphinx's final confession." In a lost Euripidean play, the Sphinx's soliloquy, the creature bears her soul. "They call me monster. I am no monster. I am the itch in the scholar's brain, the doubt in the lover's vow, the pause before the tyrant's strike. I am the space between question and answer, the breath where freedom lives. You pity me? Pity yourselves. You build temples to answers, yet your gods are silent. I at least dare to ask." The play was banned, its scrolls burned, but actors whisper that performing it summons a winged shadow, nodding in approval. Your turn, the riddle of the reader. And now, dear traveler, the Sphinx turns her gaze to you. What mythic chain binds you? Are you Oedipus, fleeing answers? A Hesiod, twisting truth? Or a Theron, seeking redemption? Comment below. King, demon, angel, or beast? Which mask do you wear? Which riddle defines you? Like this tale, your thumbs can unravel fate. Subscribe for more chronicles from the edge of myth. Share, and the Sphinx's whisper may choose you next.